Hi, Inventors Launchpad family. This is Carmine Danisco, your host for Inventors Launchpad Roadmap to Success. I wanted to get in touch with you guys and talk a little bit about some questions that I've been fielding about some of the other shows on our network and how those questions came about. A lot of times, and this is true even with myself, when I have a good idea, when I have an invention idea, I guess you would say, I don't really start with the end in mind. A lot of times I'll have an idea, I'll get to work, I'll start designing it, I'll start prototyping it, start testing it, talking to people about this idea, but I won't really think of it as a business until sometimes it might be too late. A lot of times I'll get further down a path than I wanted to, without really having a plan or a strategy in place. And these are some of the questions and some of the things I wanted to talk about today. As some of you may know, our listeners, we have been adding several shows to the Inventors Launchpad network. We've been launching different shows in order to help inventors move their products along, make the right decisions, maybe having that strategy or getting that plan together. Because it is a lot of work to take an idea from your head, move it all the way through to having a success with the product, actually selling it, licensing it, making money with that product and turning it into a business. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the different ways that you can have a strategy and have a plan, a projection on what you want to do with that product, maybe with that end in mind. Because it's not as easy as people think about. It is a lot of work. It is hard. There are some people that have an idea, have a product, have a prototype, and they get very lucky, and their product maybe gets on the market, gets into a retail store or onto some TV shopping channels very quickly. There are products that happens. There's no doubt about it. But a lot of times, those big products that we talk about, those big products that we hear about making millions and selling hundreds of thousands of units, those products have been around. Those products have been around for a long time. It's just that you're just now hearing about it. A lot of times that overnight success that you hear about, it's really a 10-year overnight success. It's just that you're hearing about it at that time, and that's why you believe that it's an overnight success. The people who have taken those products to market, most of the inventors, the companies, it's been a long road. And I just want you not to get discouraged, not to think, hey, why is everyone else putting their products onto TV, putting them into retail stores or putting them onto as seen on TV or moving them along, even e-commerce sites and Amazon, eBay. It's not that easy. And I want people to realize that it's not. It really is a lot of work. And again, you have to have the right product to make it. And you have to target the right market with the correct product. If you have a great product, a great idea, but you're targeting the wrong market, targeting the wrong niche, or in most cases, if you're targeting everyone, it's going to be a lot tougher for your product to catch on, for your product to be successful. So the trick is to have a strategy. And that was going to be some of my point today, is to try to put a strategy in place in the direction that you want to go. The success that you want to have could be multiple strategies, but a strategy, a plan is very important. I am a big believer in just trying things, throwing things against the wall, seeing how they work. Experimentation, I say, beats planning every time. In a lot of cases, that is true. But in the long run, planning is very, very important. Experimentation can get you answers quickly, okay? But it's not good for the long run. And that's why you need to have a plan. You need to have a strategy when you have an invention, when you have an idea for a product. When you want to get to a certain place from point A to point B, you need to have that plan. Now, certainly, experimentation can give you the idea on which route to take, which road to go down. A lot of times we'll experiment with an advertisement or packaging. We'll create 3 or 4 different types of packaging. We'll send them out, and we will see what kind of feedback we get overnight or within a couple of days. Whereas if we were trying to plan on which type of packaging we should use, it could take a month or 2 months. So a lot of times I will say, and I'll say it again, experimentation does beat planning, but only in some circumstances. Planning is very important. So first thing I want to do, again, we're getting a lot of questions on the different types and different directions that you might want to take a product if you have an idea or have an invention. And there are several different routes to take. Some of them could be multiple type of routes. I mean, you can have a product that can go maybe on a TV shopping channel, say like HSN, QVC, the jewelry channel. But you can also take that product maybe to retail. So there are different types of paths to take with a product, but it's good to just plan on one and let the product or let the public take it down the other paths as it grows and gathers momentum. It's very important to just go and find one route, one path, so that you don't overextend yourself, so that you don't get your resources too thin. If you truly have a good product, a product that's going to catch on, you don't have to worry about talking to everyone. You don't have to worry about trying to sell your product to everyone in the world. You don't have to give that speech that all of us know about, where if you sold to 1% of 1%, we'd all be millionaires. You don't need to say that. The trick is, and I shouldn't even say a trick, the plan is to find your niche market, find out where they are, who they are, where they buy things, why they buy things, what they like, what they don't like, and go after that niche market. From there, your product will grow. Your product will extend out of that niche market because it's a good product. So other people are going to notice. They're going to take notice, and they are going to want to buy it also. But if you try to talk to everyone, as the saying goes, no one listens. So again, I just want to let you know that planning is very important. If you need help, and a lot of people do, I mean, there's nothing wrong with talking to someone who's in this industry about putting together the right plan, going after the right demographic, the right niche. It is very, very important. And that's kind of why I'm talking about this process so much, because there are so many good products that are out there, so many good inventions that are out there, that their resources were just too thinned out by going after everyone, saying everyone loves this product, everyone's going to want one. And you cannot sell to everyone until your product catches on and let everyone know. Even somebody like Apple or Coca-Cola or some of the largest brands in the world, they're not selling to everyone. Maybe 30% of the market, maybe 40% of the market. There are still other brands that are taking bites out of that percentage of the market. You cannot sell to everyone. And I tell you the truth, you don't want to sell to everyone. You want to build up your following, your tribe, your family of loyal followers, the ones that will buy whatever you put out. That is who you want to sell to. I mean, when people stand online, as they do with Apple products, when people stand online or sleep overnight for the doors to open to come and buy your product, you've made it, my friend. That is a brand following. That is a family that will follow you and buy your products, and that's what you want. When you try to sell to everyone and you make cost a factor, okay, and you make your product a commodity, then you're dealing with price and you're not dealing with your family, your brand. You need to sell to people who are going to buy your product. They're not going to ask how much it costs. They're not going to ask when is it going to be on sale. They're going to line up and they're going to buy your product. But it's very tough to do that. Not all products fall into that category. I don't want you to think that if you have a product that is a seasonal item or something that is specific to a certain small demographic that's going to happen. I'm just using it as an example of building your brand, going after your correct niche market, and then let it expand from there. And that's the reason I'm using Apple as a experimentation, or a product that is unbelievable when they come out with a new product, and to have people sleeping or standing online and to buy their product, to give the company money. They're standing online and sleeping there. It's amazing to me. So let's just go ahead and go through the different types of ways in planning that you may want take your product to market. There are 4 or 5 different ways, and again, you can have both. There are 4 or 5 different ways to take a product to market, and I just wanted to go over these because let me just start the clock here, as I don't want to talk too long. You guys will get sick of me talking. There are several different ways to take your product to market, and I don't want you to thin out your resources. I want you to say, this is the best for this product. I'm going to go after this demographic, and this is how I'm going to do it, because it's very important to do that. You only have a certain amount of time, especially if you followed a provisional patent application. You have maybe a year to go after the correct demographics before you have to dish out the money for a full patent, or maybe just give up, or see what's happening and roll the dice and say, hey, I'm not going to file a full patent application because I did the provisional. I didn't get too much traction, but I have some interested parties, and I'm going to wait and see. So there's a lot of things you have to do within that year, and a year goes by fast. My recommendation would be, before you file, and again, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a intellectual property attorney, but if you are going to file a provisional patent application where you get a year to claim patent pending, I would wait till the last possible second to put that application in, meaning that gather up all of your paperwork. If you have samples, if you have prototypes, sell sheets, maybe even setting up appointments but not giving out all the information needed. And then the day before that you're actually going to start showing this product, go ahead and file that provisional patent application, so you get a full amount of time that you will need, because again, a year does go by pretty fast. So the first category that I wanted to talk about, that you may want to go after with your product idea, is basically the easiest one, the one that we all know about, is e-commerce. Whether you are going to sell your product on your own website, on Amazon, on eBay, or any of the large e-commerce sites that allow you to do this, the most common being your own website, or a site like eBay or Amazon, which is huge. E-commerce, selling your product in e-commerce is not an issue, but you will have to have inventory. So if you have an idea or you have an invention, there will be some steps that you have to go through to try to sell your product online on e-commerce. So the first thing would be is you're going to want to prototype it. You are going to want to test that prototype, make sure your product does what it's supposed to do. The worst thing that you can do is go ahead and get a product made because you believe it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Get that prototype made, not test it, not put it in the hands of your intended user. Again, your niche market. I'm going to say that word a lot, guys. You're going to get sick of me hearing niche market or demographic, but it is very important to get your prototype or your fully produced product before you've gone to mass production. Maybe you've made 50 or 100 and you're testing that product. It's very important to get that product in the hands of your target market. Who is going to use that product? You don't want to stand over them. You don't want to stand behind them and say, okay, you do this, you do that. Give them the product and let them use it like if they bought it in the store or they bought it online and it got delivered to their house. Okay, that means it's got to be very self-explanatory. The packaging isn't as important on e-commerce or Amazon, which is great. But if you need to have instructions, pictures, tools, whatever the accessories are, I mean, this product has to be complete. I don't care if it's in a white box, but if the product has to be assembled, it has to be some kind of instructions. Make sure that the product is ready for testing. So again, e-commerce is great because you don't have to spend as much money on packaging. It's very nice to get packaging. There's a little trick to that. So I'm going to talk to you about the packaging in a second. But e-commerce is good, but you will have to have inventory depending on how much product you need to buy. So there's a couple different strategies for that. So you can go with prototypes. Let's talk about how great the product is. If the prototype is good enough to show on camera or on video, you may want to do what we call a dry test, which means you use the prototype in the pictures, in the videos, you talk about how great it is, you throw it up on your website or maybe even on eBay for sale. You discuss the pricing, or maybe even do a split test where people on the West Coast are going to get one price, people on the East Coast are going to get a different price, and you see if anybody wants to buy your product at those prices. Now, when they do go to buy your product, obviously you don't have any, you haven't manufactured it yet. But if they do go to buy the product, as they go to check out, your website is going to say, sorry, we are out of inventory right now. Please let us know if we would like to be notified when the inventory is filled, when we get more product in stock. So that's called a dry test. And if you wanted to do a dry test, you can use your prototype as long as it works and shows good. And that's the way to do that. So again, e-commerce, you just need to put a plan in place. And that's what I mean about planning. Certainly, I would say certainly go ahead and get a few. If you can get them, you have to have manufacturing in place. So if you're going to do this dry test, there are some things you need to have in place, like your manufacturing, your prototypes, if you need molding, if you need any kind of specialty equipment to manufacture that product, you're going to want to be ready to go, because you don't want to waste all of the information, all the stuff that you did, that if the dry test works out where your product is going to be a big hit, but you can't manufacture it because you didn't do any of the preparation, you're probably going to lose out, because there's a lot of people watching to see new products that hit the market. And if it's going to be another 6 months or 4 months before you can actually deliver real world product where you can stock inventory, it might be too late. So that's what I mean about planning and strategy. I'm going to go through these somewhat quick because I don't have too much time, and there's a lot of things to talk about. If you need more information on any of these strategies, just go ahead and get in touch with me at inventorslaunchpad.com. You can get me on social media, LinkedIn, on Facebook, Inventors Launchpad. We run several sites, several groups on Facebook, and obviously on LinkedIn, you can search for me there also. So if you have questions on what I'm covering, or if I miss something because I'm going through these quickly, just reach out and I will cover them either through you directly, or I'll jump on our next podcast and cover them at the beginning of the show, so that we can get you answers to your questions. So again, the e-commerce side is a great way to test your product. And if you have 100 units, or maybe you did a small batch run, and you get some good feedback, or you get some people to buy it, again, you're going to sell your product. There's tricks though on the e-commerce side also. You got to drive traffic to your website. This isn't the if you build it, they will come world anymore. There are so many websites, so many people that are stealing traffic or directing traffic to some of the larger e-commerce sites, that it's very hard to get just organic visitors to your website. So you see on the e-commerce side, there are a lot of things we can do, but it's not as cut and dry as people would think, but it is a way to test your product if you plan it correctly. And again, planning, it's very important to have that strategy when you have a product. The next item I want to talk about that we hear about and you guys talk about is huge. It's retail. Everyone wants to get their product into retail. And now I don't want to say everyone. Some people, or a good percentage of inventors, dream of having their product in Target, Walmart, Walgreens, a lot of the big retailers out there. And I can tell you that it is a pretty cool thing to have your product walking into a store like Target or Walmart and seeing your product on the shelf. It's a great feeling. We have seen products that we have developed here for our clients make it into retail, and being able to call and say, hey, your product should be out on the shelves. Go ahead, take a look. Send us a picture if you see it. And it's just a great feeling to see that product. It's like a living thing. It's like it's like a dream that the clients have, these product inventors that, just it was in their head recently and an idea, and they came to us here at Inventors Launchpad, and we got to develop their product, and it's out on the store shelves, which is pretty fantastic. But there are some issues, again, with going after retailers. And again, we'll be planning. It will be a strategy. And what a lot of people don't realize is that it's very costly to have a product land on the retail space, unless you go with a wholesaler or someone who's going to handle all of the steps and things that you need in place in order to get a product retail ready. Retail ready meaning is your product is fully developed. It is tested. It is done. Every claim, everything you talk about has been tested and made sure that it functions as it is talked about, as it's said to be. Also, the packaging for a fully retail ready product is much different than selling on e-commerce. As you know, a lot of times when you get a product from Amazon or eBay or one of the larger e-commerce stores, sometimes they come in just a white box, which is a good cost-saving way to get a product to you. But on a store shelves in retail, the packaging has to be very, very complete. As when I say the design of the packaging is so important, because you will be going up against a lot of other products in your category. Even though your product is different, it's the only one like it out in the market. I can guarantee you that they're going to put it on the shelf, that if your packaging is not nice, it isn't eye-catching, people's eyes will go to a different product, or they just won't buy it. So the trick with going to retail is packaging is very important. So again, but the big thing is this with retail. Okay, so with retail, you're going to have your product. You're going to go show it to a retail buyer. He's going to say, I love this product. Again, it's very few and far between. I congratulate you if you have taken a product to retailers and you've made it out onto the market. It's very tough to get a product in retail because shelf space is so hard to come by. Now, retailer is going to say, I like your product. And you're going to say, okay, great. And they're going to tell you, they're going to do a test. Even if they do a test and you get a large retailer, I'm not even going to talk about Walmart, but if you get a large retailer like Target or Walgreens, and they say, we're going to do a test in Florida or the Southwest region of California or New York, it could be several hundred stores. And even if they buy 100 units, you have to fill that order of 10,000, 50,000, 100,000 units of your product. And then you have to not only fill that order, but you have to ship the product to their warehouse. The product lands in their warehouse, and then they distribute it amongst the stores, and then it starts being sold. Now, as it's being sold, they start getting returns, maybe of 1 or 2 or 3% return is a normal scenario. I don't care if your product is perfect. I don't care if your product is developed under the strictest guidelines. Someone's going to return your product. Either they're not happy with it, they really didn't want it, they got it as a present. Whatever it is, the returns will be charged back to you. It's not a big deal, but it happens. So now you have several months or 3 or 4 months that your product is going out in the market. Now you're going to get paid by the retailer. It could be a 60 or 90-day payment terms. In the interim, there's going to be some other things that have to be done. You're going to have to either order more product. They may want to go to national rollout. Now, all of that money that you put out for the local test, you're going to hopefully get that money back. But here's the trick. Do you have the money even for that local test? So say 10,000 units, 50,000 units, 100,000 units for the local test that you're not going to get back maybe for 90 days or more. So the trick will be is if you want to go to retail, you have to have the ability to fill purchase orders. Now, when I say fill purchase orders, you have to have that money liquid where it does not have to get back into your bank for at least 90 days. I'm talking minimum 90 days. You might get paid sooner, but just to be on the safe side, it's got to be minimum 90 or even 120, or, try to get as much time as possible. If you're not going to fund it yourself and you're going to go with purchase order funding, or you're going to get a loan, or maybe a venture capitalist, some kind of investor, just, let them know that because you don't control the vendors, or you don't control how the vendors get paid. Even though they say they're going to pay you 90 days, something can happen. A check could get lost. But sometimes you're going to get a check right away. I'm kind of, again, jumping through here real quick because there's a lot to cover. So sometimes you may get a check for the first payment. I have seen it happen where you get checks. I've seen electronic checks. I've seen bank wires. It all depends on how that particular company pays the vendors their first time. After that, they are going to want to set up electronic communications with you. Now, that is a software that they will not only place orders with, but they will also pay, confirm when orders are received, when product is received. They'll be able to tell you how many units they've sold. So there's a software that they will expect you to have if you're going to deal with a retailer that costs money. It's not a lot of money, but it is a software that you're going to have to get set up and maintain in order to process orders from retailers. Okay, maybe you only have one retailer, but you could have Walgreens, you could have CVS, Target, and maybe some other stores all placing orders to you. They don't call you or they don't email you with a purchase order. They place the orders through a software, and you need to have that software so that you can process those orders, you can accept those orders, and then you can get paid through that software. But again, for the first time, the first orders, a lot of the retailers will not set you up in the system until they make sure that you can not only deliver the product, you can accept payments, the product's delivered on time, it's like it was supposed to be, they do a test with it. So they don't want to go through all the trouble of setting you up within the system until you have actually delivered the product successfully. So it's very important, that first order that you get. So retail going to retail is fun, but it's very, very expensive to fill orders with retail, especially large retailers. It is very expensive. Once you get rolling, it's all part of, again, your strategy, your business plan to be able to keep that company functioning, be able to keep rotating through inventory, getting the funds in, placing orders. You'll have an order in China being manufactured. You'll have product on a boat being delivered. You could have, depending on where you make the product, whether it's in Guatemala, China, Honduras, the Philippines, wherever that product is being made, you have to maintain the manufacturing. You have to maintain the logistics of the product being delivered, and then you have to maintain the inventory. So again, going to retail is fun, but it is a lot of work. I'm not saying not to do it, but you have to put a plan in place, a strategy in place to make sure you will have the capacity to be able to deliver retail-ready product constantly, because you don't want to miss that opportunity if a large retailer wants your product. But you do have to have the resources at hand to be able to complete the orders. So again, that's a retail. So we went through e-commerce. who went to retail, which again feed into each other. If you go to retail and they say, hey, how many units have you sold? Watch Shark Tank. The first question they usually ask, one of the first questions is, how many units have you sold? So same thing's going to happen when you go to the retailers. Retailer's going to say, hey, listen, we like that product. How many have you sold? And if you say, hey, I sold 10,000 on my website, or I sold 5,000 through Amazon just this month, the retailer is going to like that answer. But if you say, oh, no, we haven't sold any, the retailer is going to be a little iffy about it. So selling on e-commerce first, going to e-commerce, selling some product is very, very important. You're going to want to be able to report sales to retailers when they ask. So, okay, we're cruising through here pretty good. As I said, I'm going a little fast, so I might be talking over myself, I might be repeating myself. It's just because I'm trying to get through this within a certain amount of time without boring you, but giving you as much information as possible. I can answer your questions. If you email them to me, I'll be able to either get back to you directly, get us on inventorslaunchpad.com, LinkedIn, social media, Facebook. Hit one of them, ask us a question if I'm missing something, or if you think I'm saying something wrong, or if you don't agree with me, you do agree with me. Either way, I would love to hear it. Either way, I would love to hear from you guys. The Inventors Launchpad family has been growing exponentially over the last several months. So we have thousands of listeners. I get a lot of emails, a lot of questions. I try to decipher. I do answer all of them, but I do try to pull out the questions that are repeated several times, because then it usually means that, there's people out there whom even haven't sent in questions. They probably want to know something, almost either the exact question or something close to it. So that's kind of what I'm covering now, is the different ways of getting your product out there. I'm trying to answer how to get that product ready and the basic planning involved. It's huge. I could spend hours on one of these subjects, and I'm trying to cover 5 different ways in which to get your product to market within half hour, 45 minutes. So that's why I'm going through this quickly. So the next one, we've covered e-commerce, we've covered retail. The next thing I want to talk about is, you guys see it all the time on TV, as seen on TV. So when you talk about an as seen on TV product, we're talking about a product that you see on the infomercials. It could be a long form infomercial, maybe 10 minutes, 15, 30 minutes. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about, but wait, there's more. They constantly pushing the products, making outrageous offers, and the product is a cool product. I mean, it's something that, catches your eye. The script, the video, the commercial itself sticks in your head. You talk about the product, you see it out there, the kids are buying them, parents are buying them. You go to the beach and the product, you see the product there. There's as seen on TV aisles in retail stores. But the as seen on TV industry is huge. I mean, it's really, really big. Now, the problem being is that there aren't enough products. Well, there are a lot of products, but the ones that are good for as seen on TV are very, very few and far between. I mean, we're talking about, you can go through hundreds of products for maybe to get one that might work. I mean, even ourselves here at Inventors Launchpad, we've actually tested products on as seen on TV, and they didn't work. We've had products that did work, but we've had multiple products that we thought were great products, and they were okay. They sold okay, but they didn't hit that benchmark as seen on TV product that is going to make money, because it is so expensive for television airtime. The product has to do gangbusters. It has to do a certain number, a certain key number for it to be considered a success. And some products have made it, and ones that we thought were going to be huge or gangbusters, they just didn't make it. And we find out why, and we can change the product and reinitialize it and run it through again. Or we say, hey, listen, let's just go to retail with it, or let's go to e-commerce with it. But there's always, and again, that's where that plan comes into place, where if you say, hey, this is an as seen on TV product, if I ever saw one, and then all of a sudden you find out, oh, it didn't really work that great in as seen on TV. It's still a good product, So you have a plan to go somewhere else with it. You go to retail. You go to e-commerce. Maybe you license it out to someone, a larger company, something in that sense. But the as seen on TV product is a huge market. It's a lot of fun to go on set and watch them film these as seen on TV products and just see the excitement in the air. I mean, they actually, as exciting as those commercials are, that's how exciting it is when they're actually creating a commercial, because you're looking at these products that no one has seen before, and when it hits the airwaves that people are going to be watching it, they're going to be calling, they're going to be emailing, they're going to be connecting online to get this product, and it's a lot of fun. So as seen on TV products, again, are very few and far between. Now the trick with as seen on TV, a lot of times if you break even, if you say, and I'm just going to use round numbers, say you spend $1 million in airtime a month on an as seen on TV product. If you break even and you make $1 million, that's actually good. You're actually doing very good if you break even. If you make more money, dollar for dollar, if you make $1.10 and you maybe say you made $100,000, you spent $1 million in airtime and you made $1,100,000, that would be phenomenal. Now the trick is, and the reason being is that if you break even with a product, it's all to go to retail. See, now retailers want people to know about that product. So just say if there was some crazy product out there like the Chia Pet, okay? Now the Chia Pet took off on as seen on TV. It sold for years on as seen on TV, and it was so easy for them to go to a retailer and say, hey, listen, we want to sell our product in your store. Is that okay? And they said, of course. I mean, everyone knew it was a household name. People knew that if they were walking through the store and they saw the Chia Pet, that people would know what it did. They heard it, they knew about it, and instead of having to go online and order it or ordering it over the phone, they could just pick it up for almost the same price, or in some cases maybe even less. But the trick is with as seen on TV is to either make money, obviously, again, it's all part of the plan, or get it to where it's a household name, not really lose any money, break even, and then move it into real retail so that as people foot traffic in the store see the product, you don't have that huge amount of money in ad spend, in television airtime spend, so that the product being at $10 or $20 or $19.95, whatever it was, you don't have that. So now your margins are higher. You can actually make money on the product, but it's already embedded in people's heads. So that's the fun part about an as seen on TV product. It's all part of that strategy. It's all part of that plan to make it a household name, maybe make some money on it. Even if you break even, you move it to retail, and now retailers are selling the product at a great price. All of those costs, all of that advertising costs, all the things you did to get that product into people's houses at whatever time for 30 minutes at a time, all that cost is gone. And the retailers, everybody wins, because you say, oh man, I wanted to order that product, and now I see it here and I could buy it. Now you don't have to give away two. Like, well, wait, there's more. If you order now, we're going to give you a second whatever Chia Pet and I'll pay for the shipping. Okay, you don't have to do that anymore. You sell one product, you sell it, you make your money, and you're done. So the as seen on TV industry is awesome. It's a great industry. It's a lot of fun. A lot of times people think, hey, I want to get this product on TV. I want it to be an as seen on TV product. Now, don't get me wrong. There's products that make gangbusters. Maybe for every $1 million a month sold, they're making $4 million a month or $3 million a month. There are products that are out there that will stay on as seen on TV, and they're going to sell and sell and sell. They're still going to move it into retail, but they'll just keep selling an as seen on TV because it's doing great. It's a great product. It works perfectly for that market. There are some products that don't. And the people that are big in as seen on TV, they can spot a product very, very quickly and know, I mean, I would say within minutes, if not even, if it's a product for the as seen on TV market or not. I can tell you that our friends at some of the larger as seen on TV companies, we send them hundreds of product ideas. And as I said, maybe one out of a couple hundred they'll even look at, just because not only is the product been done before or something close to it, but it just won't fit their exact specifications for a product for as seen on TV. It's so important for it to hit exactly what they need, those marks, for them to spend the amount of money they have to spend to try and get that product to be a hit. So the as seen on TV industry is a lot of fun. It's very, very tough to get a product into the as seen on TV space, but when you do, it could be a pretty big hit. All right, moving on. We've covered e-commerce, we've covered retail, we've covered as seen on TV. We're now going to cover the TV shopping industry, which, as all of you know, or should I say, as all of you may know, is television networks. I don't even want to say shows, because there are actual networks like QVC, HSN, the Jewelry Channel, different other shopping channels throughout. There's many shopping channels. QVC, HSN are probably the tops on the list, but there are a lot of shopping channels out there. Some are trying to make their mark still, so they're easier to get on those shows. But the great part about TV shopping is that it's 24 hours a day, so they need products. They always need products for these shows. They may test your product. They might put it on at 2 o'clock in the morning, or they may say, hey, listen, we like your product. Come back to us in 6 months or 3 months because we're doing a special on barbecuing, and your product just happens to be an outdoor picnic or outdoor barbecues type product. So the great part about TV shopping is that they always need products. It's just trying to get into the see the buyer so that your product can be seen. There are some nuances about TV shopping that you might want to know about. And HSN is doing a great job to help the American inventors, and we'll talk about that in a second. So with TV shopping, I don't know when you're listening to this show, but just recently QVC announced that they are taking HSN over. They're doing a full stock purchase of HSN. So QVC will be the, I guess, owner of HSN. They're gonna run the HSN company. I don't think they're gonna break it up. I think they're gonna leave the two companies separate, the two channels separate, because they do cover different demographics. HSN is a little bit older of a demographic, as where QVC has a younger demographic. So I think they might just keep them intact and just run them autonomously. So, but anyway, that was just announced about a week or so ago. So anyway, getting back to TV shopping channels, there are some myths about TV shopping that you may have heard, haven't heard, and maybe you want to get your product on an HSN or a QVC, the Jewelry Channel, or one of these channels. So it's kind of going after retail or e-commerce. Okay, so you can't get onto TV shopping with a prototype or a sample of your product. It has to be retail ready packaged. It has to have a great price point, and you have to have inventory in some way. Now, when you go to talk to the buyer at one of these shopping channels, you don't have to have inventory at that time, but you have to have an actual product, or you don't want to blow your chance with just a prototype. And in case the buyer says, hey, I love this product, when can I put it on TV? And you go, oh, this is just a prototype. I don't really have any other products. The buyer might not be too happy about that. Or he may say, well, listen, let's get this product moving, in which case you're going to have to get going pretty quickly and get full manufacturing. So with TV shopping, you don't want to approach a buyer with a sample or a prototype. You want to have a manufacturing ready. I'm not saying you have to have 100,000 units of your product, but you should be able to manufacture your product pretty quickly. And the only real way to do that is if you have a few hundred units or maybe a few thousand units. Maybe you're selling on e-commerce, or you've gone to retailers and you've sold some, but you want to break into TV shopping. It's a great way to roll into TV shopping category and get rid of some extra inventory. So a lot of these TV shopping channels will be good if you do have some inventory. You're already selling your product. They're a great way to get some extra sales. TV shopping, I want to say that that they're good to break into, but if you have e-commerce going or retailers going, it's kind of good in a way. Now, the trick with TV shopping in most cases is that the same thing with retail is that you're going to deliver your product. Just use a round number. Somebody at QVC or HSN says they want 10,000 units. They're going to do a test next month. They're going to run your product at 7 o'clock at night on a Tuesday. They need 10,000 units in their warehouse by next week. Within 10 days, they want. So you have to send that product into their warehouse. It's going to sit there in the warehouse until it goes on air. Now, whilst before you send the product there, they're not only going to test the packaging, they're going to test any claims that you make on the packaging. You are going to have to prove that those claims, that your product does what it says on those claims it does. If it doesn't, you're going to change the packaging, or you're not going to get on. They have very stringent Q&A. Quality assurance on TV shopping channels is very, very important. They want to make sure that the people are going to get what they buy, because they're not going into a retail. They can't just go in there and read the packaging. They can't put it in their hand. So they're trusting the TV shopping channels to deliver what they say the product does. So it's very important. Quality assurance in TV shopping is huge. So again, any claims that are on your packaging, you will have to make sure that your product does what it says. The packaging itself is very stringent. There's going to be certain things that have to be on your packaging, and probably certain things that they will not want on your packaging. If it's a retail-ready packaging and you're already selling the product in retailers, it's probably fine. I don't mean to scare you. Again, packaging is just very important. So again, if it's retail-ready and you are selling your product already, it's probably okay. So again, with the TV shopping channels is that, let's go back to our example. They want 10,000 units. They're going to sell the product soon. Now you're going to deliver that product into the warehouse. Once it gets to that warehouse, it's just going to sit there until they try to sell it. You don't get paid for the product until after it's sold, after it airs, I should say, after the show airs. And then also there could be a 60-day wait or a 30-day, 60-day, or 90-day wait before you get paid for the product that you delivered. So just check the contracts, talk with whoever you have to, and just go through it. Make sure that you can handle the time frames of the delivery of the product and waiting. They also will hold some money back for returns, because some people, when they get the product, they have a certain amount of time before they can return it to get their money back. So they will hold some money back on that too. The TV shopping channels are great. Most of the people are super nice. It's like a machine. Don't think that if they're pushing you or they're trying to get things done quick is because they're mean, or they don't, they're just trying to trick you. They just have to get things done quick. It's a 24-hour-a-day operation, and they can't mess around. So, as they ask you for things, make sure you get them as quickly as possible, because it's very important for them to follow the strict guidelines that they have to sell things on television. I do want to talk about one item that HSN is doing, and HSN is doing an awesome job trying to help the American inventors. They do have a show on HSN. It usually airs earlier in the morning. I don't want to say too early, probably between 7 and 9, or maybe even a little after, or maybe all different times, and it's something you can look up. But it's called the American Dreams Show, and it's on HSN. It's hosted by Bob Circosta. He's been around on HSN for a number of years. He's a Legend Award winner from HSN. but he's a great guy, and he hosts the American Dream Show on HSN. And what's great about the American Dream Show is all the things that I just talked to you about, all the stringent guidelines, all the things that are, I want to say roadblocks, but all the things that are very tough for us inventors to adhere to because of either resources or funds or inventory, whatever it is, shipping, fulfillment. All of those things are taken care of for the American Dream Show. So if you have an idea and you have a product, the only trick is you do have to have some inventory. Okay, it has to be packaged. It has to be retail ready, but it doesn't have to be huge amounts. And here's the good part. You don't have to wait, 60, 90, 120 days to get paid. The show itself says, hey, we're going to take 500 units. We're going to take 1,000 units, 5,000 units, and they pay you for the product. It's totally separate from the other systems, the way the HSN and QVC run. And again, there's nothing wrong with the way they do it. It's just that's how it has to be done. But the American Dream Show is basically built around helping the American inventors get their products on television, get them sold, and then either launching them into the standard HSN time slots because their product does good, or moving them into retail because they said, hey, we sold 5,000 of these in 10 minutes, or sold 1,000 of these, we sold out in 7 minutes. Whatever that is, whatever that product success is, you can take that success and move to e-commerce. You can move to retailers or all of the above. So again, the HSN American Dream Show is an awesome show. If you want to know more about it, we're doing a podcast with Bob Circosta, the host of the American Dream Show, on the Inventors Launchpad Network. So go ahead and scroll through the shows, and you'll see some podcasts that are explaining the show. You're going to have people pitching their products right to Bob on our podcast. If you have a product and you want to pitch it to us, you want to pitch it to Bob for a chance to get on the American Dream Show on HSN, go ahead and send me a note. Go on to inventorslaunchpad.com in the contact section. Go to bobcircosta.com. But get in touch with one of us and let them know that you heard about the podcast, you want to pitch your product, and it's a great show. It's a great thing that HSN is doing. I think I commend them for really helping out the American inventors, because it is so expensive to take a product to market. So much resources are involved. So many things are involved that I think they're doing a great job. So that's kind of the TV shopping model. I wanted to, again, go through that very quickly. There's a lot involved. Again, if you have questions on that, get in touch with me. And the last but not least, there are other things, but the last thing I wanted to talk about a little bit is forgetting all the things I just talked about and trying to license your product. Okay, licensing is a whole different animal as to selling your product in any way or fashion. Licensing your product is basically you developing an idea, and in any stage of it, giving it to a company or a wholesaler or someone who's going to take all of that, all the things that we've been talking about, take it off your hands and give you what's called a royalty. It's going to be very small or large, depending on how much you have done to prepare that product for the licensing industry. So let's just go through it. So you developed an idea for a widget. You haven't done too much. You've thought about it. You've maybe done some drawings. You've done some research online. You've realized there's nothing really out there like it. You haven't done a provisional patent. You haven't done really any prototyping. You haven't proved the actual theory. You've proved that there's really nothing else out there like it. And you've done that much, and you want to go and license it. You're going to get a very small amount, if anything, if a company picks it up. Now, if you go a little further, you have done a provisional patent or maybe a full patent. You have a prototype. You're proving the product works or your idea works. And you go to somebody and you say, hey, listen, here's my idea, blah, blah. This is it, my sell sheet. This is what I've done. It does work. Here's the market, the niche market. This is who, targets. The more work that you do, the more royalty payments you would get. Standard is probably anywhere from 2%, maybe to 7 or 8%, and anywhere in between. I can tell you that 7 or 8% will be phenomenal if you ever even get to that much percentage of a royalty, because there's so much money that has to be laid out to make that product a reality that the margins and costs are super expensive. So licensing is a great way to have ideas, develop the ideas as far as you really need to develop them, depending on who you're going to talk to, who you're going after, the type of product. Develop them just to the point where it gives you the ability to license it. Now, licensing means that you don't control that product anymore. You had the idea, you took it to this stage, and you're handing it off to a company that is going to do whatever they want for it. If you design the product and it was blue, and you think blue is the greatest color in the world, and you license your product to them, unless it's written in the contract that they can't change the color, and they want to make it red, you can't do anything about it, nor should it matter to you, as long as they're paying you your royalty and they're selling the product. Now, we could go into the contractual issues of licensing, for hours, because it's very important that the contract is written in a way that you're going to get paid. Licensing your product is very, very important, but that's just the beginning. When you get somebody who licenses and signs that licensing product, that licensing deal with you, it's really just the beginning. You're going to want to make sure that the product is being sold. Make sure that the amounts of product that they're reporting to you are the correct amounts, that they're even working on selling your product, that it's even being marketed, that's being manufactured, that's being shipped correctly. I mean, there's just so much, because again, you don't have anything to do with that, but everything that happens, it goes against your royalty payment. So you want to make sure that that product is going to be sold and not just shelved somewhere for years. Meanwhile, you aren't able to take that product back. No one's selling it, so you're not getting any royalty payments, and you both lose out because another product that's similar to it comes out on the market and it's selling like gangbusters. And because you licensed and you didn't go through that documentation correctly, you got it's just stalled. So yeah, allow licensing agreements. I've heard horror stories about licensing. It's very important to know what you're talking about with licensing. If it's not written down, it was never said. So you got to make sure that licensing contract is set correctly. We also do a podcast with Jeffrey Mangus, who runs the Licensing Jungle. Go ahead, if you're interested in learning about licensing, go ahead through our podcast. There's licensing podcasts, a lot of information in these podcasts to help. If you do have other questions, you can contact me at inventorslaunchpad.com, or again, get a hold of Jeffrey Mangus at the Licensing Jungle, or productcoachusa.com if you have questions about licensing. And again, that's the 5 items that I wanted to cover today, because I did have questions about several of those over last week that came in from some of our podcasts. And I understand that I went through this pretty quickly because, I just wanted to cover them, an overview. If you have a specific question on either e-commerce, retail, as seen on TV, TV shopping, or licensing, go ahead and get in touch with me. I would love to answer any questions you have. If any things I said you agree with, you don't agree with, get in touch with me. I would love to talk to you about that, because it's very important that we convey the correct information out to our listening base. I appreciate the Inventors Launchpad Network family for supporting us, for getting in touch with us, passing our show out to everyone. We get some great feedback about the show, and we just want to keep delivering good information. So if you have ideas for any upcoming shows, send them over to me. I would love to hear your ideas about them. And until then, this is Carmine Danisco, your host for the Inventors Launchpad Network, signing off, and we will talk to you soon. You take care.